You hear it all the time, right? AI is changing everything. But is it actually making us happier at work? Today, we're going to dig into that very question, and the data reveals a paradox that might just change how you see your own job.
All right, let's kick things off with a number that honestly, it made me do a double take, 5.7%. Now, according to research from the Conference Board, this is the largest single-year jump in U.S. job satisfaction since they started tracking this stuff way back in 1987. That is a historic spike.
So, you can kind of push aside all that talk about quiet quitting and universal burnout for just a second. The data is pretty clear. On the whole, we're reporting record levels of happiness in our jobs. But here's the thing. Is that really the whole picture?
Okay, so to really get what's happening here, we need to zoom in on this surprisingly positive trend first. And as we're about to see, this isn't just an American thing. It's happening all over the world.
And yep, the global picture confirms it. A full 70% of employees worldwide say they're happy at work. And if you look even closer, about 1 in 4 of those people describe themselves as very happy. So, at first glance, everything seems pretty great.
But, and there's always a but, isn't there? This is where things get really interesting. This quote from the research signals that something else is bubbling up right under this happy surface. It points to a profound paradox.
And that brings us to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. The paradox of fragile joy. The idea here is that while we feel good in the moment, that satisfaction is built on some seriously unstable ground.
So, yeah, that kind of begs the question, right? If job satisfaction is at a 36-year high, what on earth could the problem possibly be?
Well, the problem is we're basically living in two completely different realities at the same time. On one side of the coin, you have this record-high job satisfaction. But when you flip it over, there's this extreme, growing anxiety about the future. And these two feelings are somehow coexisting in the workplace right now.
And this anxiety, it's not some vague, fuzzy feeling. It's being fueled by two very specific, very powerful stressors. First up, you've got this accelerating fear that AI is eventually going to take our jobs. And second, a growing sense of financial insecurity. That feeling that we just aren't being paid fairly for the work we do.
And listen, this isn't just people's gut feelings. The numbers back it all up. Over 60% of younger workers, we're talking Gen Z and Millennials, worry that generative AI will eliminate jobs. And at the same time, people who feel underpaid, they are a staggering 45% more likely to start looking for a new job, even if they say they're happy. That right there is that fragile joy in action.
All this anxiety creates what you could call the great AI divide. And it's all about how we see AI as this incredibly helpful tool for today and a potential threat for tomorrow. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. When we're using AI as a helper, something to make our day-to-day tasks easier, 72% of us are optimistic about it. We get it. We see the benefits. But the second we start thinking about AI as a replacement, that optimism just flips, and over 60% of the next generation are worried.
Now, obviously, not everyone feels the same way. Researchers have broken the workforce down into 4 distinct groups. You've got your optimistic bloomers, your skeptical gloomers who want more rules, the super eager zoomers, and then a small but pretty loud group of doomers. The big takeaway here isn't just the labels. It's that pretty much everyone is using AI, but they all feel very differently about where it's all going.
So, with all these different feelings swirling around, you might think the reason AI isn't transforming our jobs faster is because employees are pushing back. But is that what's really going on?
Get ready for this number. The data gives us a pretty shocking answer. 1%. That is the tiny, tiny fraction of leaders who think their own companies are mature when it comes to actually using AI. Just 1%.
So what does that mean? The holdup isn't the employees. They're already using the tools and they're hungry for training. The real barrier, the real problem, is a massive 99% leadership maturity gap. Management just isn't keeping up with the tech.
Okay, so how do we actually fix this mess? Well, that brings us to the path forward, and it's a concept called super agency. This is all about shifting our mindset from just trying to survive the age of AI to actually thriving with it.
So what is super agency? Think of it like this. It's a state where we as humans are so empowered by AI that our best skills, creativity, big picture thinking, are amplified, taken to a whole new level. The point isn't for AI to replace us, it's to make us, super at what we're already good at.
So to actually get to that point, we've got to build happiness that lasts. And the research points to these 4 Ps. We need a sense of progress, that feeling of mastering new skills. We need a clear purpose, knowing our work actually matters. We need strong connections with people. And finally, we need pleasure, some genuine enjoyment in what we do.
What this framework really does is it changes the entire game. It moves companies away from rewarding pseudo-productivity, just looking busy, and starts focusing on creating real, meaningful value. It's all about making a real impact, not just cranking out work.
All right, let's bring it all home. How can we actually build this future of happiness and make our companies and ourselves a lot more resilient to all the changes that are coming?
Okay, this right here, this should be a massive wake-up call for a lot of companies. There is a huge global training gap. While 84% of employees in other top countries say they're getting significant AI support, in the US, that number is only 53%. Bottom line, the US is falling behind in getting its people ready for the future.
So what's the takeaway for leaders? The mission is pretty clear. They need to speed up hands-on AI training and give people access to the tools. They've got to start redefining jobs around the things only humans can do, like creativity and empathy. They have to build trust by being transparent about pay. And finally, they need to give their people more autonomy, more freedom over how, when, and where their work gets done.
And that leaves us with one last really important question you should ask yourself. The AI tools are already here, and they're only getting more powerful. So, is your workplace using these tools to build your super agency, to make you better? Or are they just kind of building your replacement?